Hi, my name is Holly. That's Rooney. And please enjoy me and Nevi talking for an hour and cute puppies. Good boy.
Okay, so just so you know, this is being recorded for
quality assurance.
mic check.
Novi, please. This is not a podcast.
I want to get train from Moscow to
Novi,
Vladivostok.
please. This is
It took
not
me
a
7
podcast.
days.
Wait, it's not? Yes, exactly.
Okay. I may have to teach you time zones again.
No, I knew. I googled CST time yesterday, and I saw that it was 7 hours behind, and I knew it would be 7 p.m. my time, but I got delayed at work, and then I came back and I had to call my parents because
Okay, my dog. He's still in the same spot. He's still mad. Ready?
oh, but why can't you let him out though?
I mean, I can. He won't sit still. He'll just wander in and out and cry because I'm on the balcony. So,
But he
he'll
can't
just
really
wanna,
go
like,
anywhere,
fuss
right?
about not being-
You live above. You live at elevation. I mean,
right.
yeah, because I don't have any pets, but I happen to I happen to watch a lot of dog videos on YouTube, and yeah, usually that's where my knowledge about pets come from, and I read through the comments in this. And I've been watching this video about, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's a breed of dog called Shiba Inu, something like that.
Shiba Inu. Yeah, they're popular in
okay.
Japan.
Yeah.
They're so cute.
And
They're so cute.
apparently,
I love
I learned in the comments that they always have to be on leash because they kind of escape if you let them free.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends because any dog can escape if you don't have it on a leash. But they're popular in Asia, so that may be more of like an Asian culture thing where, everything is metropolitan, so you have to keep your dog on a leash regardless of what dog it is. But I don't know. It could be their character trait, like they always wander or something. They're really popular in Japan. I think they originated in Asia or maybe Japan, and they used to like worship them. They were like, I don't know, the dogs that the emperors had for a while, and all I know is they're adorable.
Okay, so yeah, that's a nice segue. Your knowledge of dogs, is it just from experience, or have you have you put an effort to pick up knowledge from?
I dog sit, so I mean I've dog sat for a long time. Like when I started driving in high school, I started watching dogs for people, like when they went out of town. So I've just kind of made like a good second business, I guess, off of that. So I've had experience with a lot of dogs. I haven't sat for every dog. There's, hundreds of breeds, but you kind of learn like the different personalities, I guess, and the different traits of dogs, and like how to adapt to certain behaviors, and then you just get interested in dogs, I guess. We go to the dog park all the time, so I have experienced like a lot of different kind of dogs. We've always had golden retrievers, so obviously I have the most experience with golden retrievers. But
so you've had
I also
pet
just love
since
dogs.
a very young age.
Yeah.
So-
We've always had dogs.
Always. So there's,
We had a cat one time, but yeah, we had a cat one time, but my mom found out she was allergic, so we had to get rid of the cat. And then we got golden retrievers, and then my dad used to breed them. So we had puppies like all the time at one point because we would breed them, and our female would have like a litter of puppies, and then we'd have to sell them or get rid of them, which is the purpose, I guess. But it was really sad as a kid. It was a good and a sad thing to have as a kid because like you had puppies all the time, but then you had to let them go.
Yeah.
So that was really sad. And then we stopped breeding, so we just always had Goldens. We had like 4 at one point. We had three, but then there was a Golden that showed up in our yard, and we tried to find the owner. Like we searched for a good few months. Like we put up, signs, and we got the word out. This was kind of before social media. You couldn't just like say, "Hey, I found this dog" on Facebook, but
You would go
we
put
couldn't
up
find the
posters
owner.
on every tree on the street and
Yeah.
things like that.
So I think he wandered into our yard because he saw dogs like him, because he looked like one of our Goldens. And so we just kept him. So we ended up with 4 Goldens. And then, the wind. And then when I like started living on my own, I got my own Golden. So I've had probably in my lifetime, like as pets, I've probably had 8 Goldens now.
Wow.
We had Breezy, Sunny, Windy, Misty, Cheyenne, Mason, Rooney, Stanley. We've had a lot. So, a lot of dogs.
Yeah.
A lot of doggies.
But always just one, right? Or have you had more than one at a time? Okay, not including the puppies.
I've had more. I've had more than one. Yeah, we had 4 at one point, like 4 adults.
4 adults.
altogether.
Okay.
Which
So how is it like? I mean, a
Yeah.
house full of dogs and all. I imagine them with full of energy, just jumping around, and it's just must be a lot of chaos.
Yeah, sometimes, but we had like a lot of land where we lived on. So there was like 3 acres. I don't know how to measure acres. If y'all measure in acres, I don't know how to
We
like
do
convert
acres,
that. But it was a good chunk. Yeah, it was a good chunk of land for enough dogs. I mean, there's a lot of dog hair because they shed. Some dogs don't, but Goldens shed.
Yeah.
So you just had to get used to having dog hair everywhere and like in your mouth and stuff. But
What about training though? I mean, does the mother train and then you take over? I have no idea. I've never had a pet, so I'll just ask some.
No,
it might sound like a really silly question, but just humor me.
It's not. You're responsible for training them. I mean, you don't necessarily have to go and spend money, but there are training classes. There's videos now on YouTube where you can like do it from your own home.
Okay.
There's certain techniques that work. But then again, every dog trainer thinks that another dog trainer is doing something wrong. There's really no right or wrong way to train a dog, other than like abusing your dog, which is not, okay, but you have to train them. And it doesn't have to always be like a formal thing. They may just learn from, their routine, like don't get on the couch and you constantly telling them not to jump on the couch, pushing them off the couch or, things like that. But then some people do like use training classes or an actual trainer themselves. Like my family member has a hunting dog. And he sends her to another state to a specific trainer that trains the dog himself.
Okay.
And then he sends the dog back. I mean, there's some things like that. If they have a specific purpose, there's a lot of formal things like that. Like if they're going to be a special needs dog or a service dog, then that's something that actually requires like legit obedience, you just reinforce with good behavior and like treats and stuff. Sit is the easiest thing to learn. I have a video I can send you of me teaching Rooney how to sit within hours of getting him the day that I got him. And it's so adorable, but it's fairly easy as long as you're not expecting a lot of stuff at first. You have to keep working at it, and it doesn't happen like within a few weeks. You have to keep motivating them and stuff.
Right.
But if it's a hunting dog or if it's a special kind of need or service, then you really have to spend some money to get them to be trained.
What do you think is the effort that goes into these competitions where the dog just goes through hoops and jumps and stuff, all these elaborate competitions?
Agility.
Yeah, right. So
agility training.
So are there specific schools that the dogs are sent to? Or?
I think so, yeah. Some people like...
of course, there are hilarious videos where the dogs don't obey. Those are really funny. But then there are also these
and one of them,
awesome videos where the dogs just are really good with going through the obstacle course and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's amazing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you'd send to like a training course, or not every owner is actually the handler in those types of things. Like the person that's running them through the agility course isn't usually the actual owner of the dog. It's usually the handler or the trainer. So the owner is probably sitting in the stand somewhere, just watching. But yeah, they usually send their dogs off to like a specific class or course or training to learn to do that. And it's not just, any dog can do that either. The dog has to have kind of a mentality to do that.
Right.
That's why you see like a lot of border collies, a lot of Aussies, a lot of Jack Russells. Those dogs notoriously come with like a lot of energy. So you'll see like a lot of common scenarios where they're in those agility courses. There's one video I saw where a bulldog was doing an agility course, and everyone thought it was kind of a joke, like he was going to be really bad at it, because bulldogs don't really have that energy. You don't really see bulldogs doing agility courses because they're kind of like a ho-hum, like lazy kind of dog, don't really have good joints or good movement. But he was really good at it. So it was like a showstopper. The crowd was really like surprised because this bulldog was like killing it, going through all the courses. So that just comes with good training, and it's partly, the dog has to want to do stuff like that. Rooney's kind of lazy. He's just chilling. So he might not be the best candidate for like agility stuff, but if he was super hyper all the time and needed an outlet, you could send him to agility training if you wanted to spend the money on it and, turn that into something.
But I heard you mention a few breeds that you said are common for these kind of competitions and stuff. So is it like there are certain breeds that are smarter than the others, or are they just...
Sometimes, yeah. I think, I don't know if it technically comes with smartness. It's just that drive. Like a lot of dogs have a different drive to do,
so they're easily
certain
more
things, and that comes with
easily disciplined and stuff like that.
Yeah, easier to train for those types of things. I think poodles are known for being really intelligent. I mean, dogs in general are intelligent.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's one that's dumber than the other, but I think poodles are generally really smart.
Across the species, there could be one species.
I don't know.
Or maybe
I don't hear too many good things about Chihuahuas, but I don't classify them as dumb either. But you don't hear too many good things about Chihuahuas. But generally, I think people go for like Labradors, German Shepherds, Malinois, Belgian Malinois, Goldens. They have like, those are dogs that have over decades have had always a job in some regard, like, police work or service work or agility. It's always kind of been in the same families of dogs. And so maybe not necessarily if it's intelligence or just popularity in general. They just probably seen as smarter. Maybe, I don't know.
But how do you think this kind of, they're not exactly stereotypes, right? Like you said, Chihuahuas are, they have a short temper, or German Shepherds and Labradors are preferred for these, not exactly military, sort of defense and service dogs and stuff like that. So how is it that a certain breed is associated with a kind of a temperament or attitude, or like you said you have had 8 golden retrievers over here, but have you noticed any, were they all the same kind, or do you had
temperament?
Yeah, exactly. Or anything, attitude or intelligence or changes.
The one that we had that we kind of like adopted that wandered into our yard, and we didn't start off with him. He was really timid and really shy. We think he had like an abuse situation because if we would like sweep the floors, he was terrified of the broom. He was terrified of a lot of loud noises. So we really think he came from like an abusive household. But for the most part, they all had like good, good obedience and good kindness. And they were all generally really sweet, not aggressive, males and females. Kind of alike. They were protective. One of our females like protected my stepmom one time from a rattlesnake that showed up in the yard. She tried to eat the rattlesnake, but they were all pretty same temperament. And that's not always. I've seen aggressive golden retrievers. Rooney's been attacked by an aggressive golden retriever before. But that comes with not necessarily the breed itself, but dogs communicate differently.
Just like humans,
there's
so
territorial
individual dogs also have their own character, and it develops as they grow.
So it's not necessarily something that can be associated with the breed.
Okay. Or
it's probably just upbringing.
The humans they live with could also have an influence. do you think?
Yeah. So that dog we kind of adopted. I mean, he obviously came from a really bad household. We had to really do some, kind, quiet gestures for a long time to get him to trust us when we put his food bowl down, and, to a lot of things before he really got comfortable and, would actually just lay in the same room as our other dogs. Because when we started, just taking care of him, he wouldn't be in the same room as anybody. He would have to be in a separate room. He was too scared to be around anybody. It was really sad. But eventually he got there, and he was a great dog. I mean, he really was. After, gosh, this was so many years ago, but I mean, after he kind of got over that, he was a really good dog. So
I just remember the speed at which you rattled off the names of your pets. This is something that you told me a while ago, that you knew the number pi to 100 decimal places or something. I'm not going to I'm not going to narrate.
I could do it to 60. I could do it to 60 right now.
No, I don't want you to
it's
do
one
that.
of
I just have one
things
question.
You have to.
Why?
Yeah.
I mean,
So in college, I had this professor, my algebra professor. He was a really good teacher. He put on the board on the first day of class that we needed, they give you kind of the syllabus. I don't know. I mean, every college is different, but he gave us like a synopsis of what kind of the path we would take and what each week we would focus on. And one of the things he wanted us to learn was pi to 100 places. And we thought he was joking.
He wanted you guys to learn it.
Yeah, he wanted us to.
It was like a task for the entire class or something?
Yes, it was. Yes, but we thought it was a joke. We thought, because he was kind of a funny guy. He was notorious for being like a kind of a sarcastic teacher. So we thought it was a joke. So no, and he didn't really focus on it. He put it on the syllabus, but he didn't actually like say, you guys need to learn. So we thought, oh, this guy's joking. But for giggles, I tried to, because I like memorizing things.
Okay.
But I didn't really focus on it or much. But then on our final exam, there was a bonus question for 10 points on our final exam, and it was list pi to 100 places. And for every 10 that we got correct, he would give us a point. And I only got to like, I think 40 or 50 at that point. But then it made me like motivated to actually want to learn pi to 100 places. So there are some people who know it to 200, 300. I mean, you never use it for anything, but
yeah, exactly.
but it's a fun party trick, like 3.14159265358979932388462643383279502884197169393710. I get lost after that, It's.
I think I know it to 9 places, but then that's enough for engineering problems usually.
It's easy if you think about it. At least this is how I think about it. This is how I think about anything if I'm memorizing it. But the numbers are actually kind of sequenced themselves already together. So you've got 3 point, and then you've got 1415 926535. Like the numbers kind of, if you think about it, they kind of like match each other. They have a similar number in their group. So 1415. And then you've got that odd one,
once
9,
you
2.
sit down to actually with the motivation to learn the number, then I guess it's easy to find patterns. And
it's kind of easy. Then it's 6535, and then it's 14159265358979 32 38 46 26.
Okay. So, I got that.
So it was fun learning it. I think for me at least. I don't know. I'm kind of weird like that, but. That's my
anything else that you remember, like that you can? You said you like memorizing things, so.
Oh, I know my ABCs backwards.
Okay, and
ZY XW
no.
SRQPO and KJIHTFUCPA.
Oh wow, you finished.
And then I had the presidents, but I had a teacher in high school actually make us learn that, and it was really stupid. It was like Washington. We had to do it. He had a weird technique for it, which I thought was stupid. But it was like Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, blah 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 blah. I was like, I don't know. This is too much for me. My next goal was probably learning like all the.
You have like 45. That's a lot, right? 45 presidents. Okay, you had 45.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you think kids these days would remember? Would even bother to learn the pi because they have calculators and all these. We have so much technology
watched
these videos of Jimmy Kimmel on the street where he asks random people walking around like, can you list five presidents of America, or even
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
just
that
show
really
a
makes us
map
look
and
great,
then
doesn't it?
can you just point out 10 countries or something, and they're most young adults and even kids I see in those videos and videos in general on YouTube are not able to.
It could just be kind of the way that, I don't know, the coursework is now, because we never had, anyone tell us what's the 23rd president of the United States. Like, we never had that. We learned, like, timelines in history and stuff. So it may
Right.
just be every state's school curriculum is different. People in California probably have a different level of what we learn in Mississippi. My state's kind of notorious for being
But do you think
not
maybe Google
the
has kind
best.
of dumbed
Helped us, yeah.
us down
Probably, yeah.
to the point
It's an
where, because
it's an
prior to
instant
Google,
gratification.
every fact that you wanted to find out, you'd have to go to the library or just find
Hmm.
out the right encyclopedia, open it and browse through it and learn. But now it's just like whatever you want to know, you just type and then in seconds you have the answer.
Yeah, I mean, technology's, I think, helped and hurt us in some regard, but then you have to think, like, in the 70s and 80s, did they have as many luxuries or as many capabilities as we did? And we've definitely been able to, like, take advantage of what we do have as far as technology, but it also, I think, has taken away the want to
Yeah.
know everything, when I can just Google right now how to make a cake, without a box recipe.
Okay, yeah, those
Whereas,
are good. But I meant in the way that, like, the skill that you have, as in it's in memorizing things. I remember I had a friend. This is back in high school. This is some early 2000s when we didn't have cell phones and then obviously no smartphones, and everybody had these landlines in their homes, right? And landlines had like phone numbers of
Let's see.
oh, bless you.
Pollen. Sorry.
And landlines had phone numbers of between 6 and 8 digits. He had the numbers of every person in the class memorized. And I'll be honest, I had maybe 5 or 6 close friends, and I had these numbers
The
memorized. But
important
we used to
people.
have this address
Yeah.
book where we would note down all these numbers. But now we don't need to do that anymore. You just maybe say, "Hey Siri" or "Okay Google," and you just call out the name and the phone dials. So you don't even need to remember the numbers anymore. Maybe even someone like you who has the skill to memorize would not put an effort to do it anymore. The person never realizes that they have a skill like this.
Yeah. Well, it's
sad.
taken away the need to do that. So, I mean, it's not like a huge loss or anything. It's just how, I guess, society evolves over time. We're not going to need a lot of skills that we have now, but that doesn't mean that we won't have better opportunities, I guess. I don't know. I don't think memorizing something's that huge of a accomplishment. I just am kind of weird, is all I consider it. So, but I also don't have the numbers in my phone memorized, so I guess I'm slacking a bit in that regard. I know my mom's, but I think that's it, because she calls me like twice a day. So, puppy break. He's still there. What's up, bud?
So have you do you find your good memory helpful when you try to learn new languages?
Yeah, most of my memory seems to be with numbers, though. Language is different. Every language has different rules. So most of my memory comes from numbers and like sequences. At work, I learn like a lot of code numbers and phone numbers, extension numbers, things like that.
Okay.
But language, I think, just comes from
patterns and you just
patterns, and definitions and the root
practice.
of the word, and a lot of things are Latin based, but if it's
Yeah.
not Latin based, then it's a little bit more difficult. Like, I was trying to learn Korean, and Korean is very literal with their words, and I guess French is too, kind of. French can be kind of literal, but like Korean's really interesting. Like, when I was learning, I think it was goodbye,
Mm-hmm.
the translation, like like Korean to English translation is go safely, but that's what they mean for goodbye is go safely, go safely to wherever you're going. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it's kind of different. I think you also have to put a lot of more want into, like, people who learn languages have, you know, a reason for it and will more than likely use it. Learning numbers is like, you know, there's not as much of a motivation to do it. Saying, you know, like a language is way cooler than saying, you know, pi to 100 places. People just think you're weird if you say that. But if you say, oh, I speak French, then they're super impressed. So,
did you know that in Konkani we don't say goodbye, like you don't say bye because that's considered rude or inauspicious. So we say I'll come again or I'll be back.
Yeah, that's nice. I get that.
Because
bye is very,
it's
like,
very
terminal.
definite,
Like,
as in
I don't
you're
want
just
to, like,
leaving.
bye. I don't want to see. Yeah, I don't want to see you again.
Yeah,
I get that.
So okay,
Like those
since you mentioned Korean, I want to
points.
ask. Yeah, okay, you were saying something.
No. I was just saying it kind of. I guess it kind of ties into, like, if you watch those dramatic romance movies where it's like, don't say goodbye, just say I'll see you later. You know, like, they always have those moments in movies where they're like harping on the word goodbye. But anyway, yeah, Korean.
Yeah. So what came first? You wanting to learn Korean, or your love for Korean, or when you discovered the band BTS?
Well, I didn't discover BTS first. I started listening to K-pop in 2010 with a group called Girls' Generation. And so I didn't have, like, any knowledge of Korean or Korean culture or anything like that until I started listening to the music. And then obviously you listen to music and you have to think, well, what does all this mean? Because they could be singing about satanic stuff or, you know, vulgar things. So yeah, BTS was not the first band I listened to. I started with a group called Girls' Generation, or Sonoshide, and then.
But how did you get introduced to K-pop?
It was YouTube. It was YouTube. So K-pop has a different kind of their popularity in the way that they market themselves, and their music is completely different than the Western, I guess, music industry. So they're really based off of views on YouTube. And so I saw this video that had, like, a lot of views, millions of views, more views than, like, our music videos get. Because in the Western culture, music videos are not a big deal anymore. Like, people hear Taylor Swift every day, but they don't see her music video on YouTube as much. K-pop, it's completely different. Their popularity comes from the music videos. They spend millions on it, millions and millions of dollars on the music videos to be watched and to be viewed. And so I saw a music video on YouTube and I was like, this is weird. I remember thinking this is weird, and then I didn't think about it anymore. But then I somehow just I went down this rabbit hole of, like, watching it and being curious about, like, well, why is this popular? You know, because at first you can be kind of judgmental about things, I guess. So, like, I was probably pretty judgmental and thought, well, this is stupid. But then I got kind of sucked into the rabbit hole. And then I started liking it. And then I started listening to other groups. And it just went from there. I'm 10 years in now. So, traveling all over the country, you know, listening to their groups. So, it wasn't BTS at first. But then, I started. So once you start listening to the music, you want to start learning the language, and then you start watching the TV shows, and then you start learning the culture and the food, and it's a huge thing now. It's a huge wave. It's actually called the Hallyu wave. More people actually are interested in it, and
what's it called?
A huge Hallyu, HALLYU.
What does it mean?
It's this wave. It just means, like, this, you know, the wave of Korean culture and I think the K-pop industry is really opened up.
That's the English term for that's the term you use.
No, that's not, like, the direct translation. It's the actual what they call it. But it's just that, you know, that wave that K-pop has really opened for not just their music but their culture. You know, their TV shows are now on Netflix because people, you know, all over the world watch them. They're really cheesy, but then you kind of get sucked into them too. it's become a lot more popular over the past like 3 or 4 years now. There's like special events that happen in my country and in like Europe and other parts of Asia that are specifically for Korean music and Korean culture. They're called K-cons. They happen like all over the country, where people, you know, go to see K-pop artists, but also get like Korean TV shows and makeup and learn about stuff like that. And it's a huge business. And it started because of K-pop, because K-pop got so popular. So now their industry is nuts. You know, everybody wants a taste of K-pop and Korean stuff. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, it started for me in 2010, I guess.
Do you still practice your Korean?
Not so much. I don't have a lot of time. It's one of the things where you really have to practice it. But at the same time, when you listen to the music a lot, you like start to recognize the words.
Okay, so you are at that level where you can pick up a few words and then kind of figure out what the sentence means or what the emotion.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And that comes even from before learning it. That you can pick that up from listening to the music, because they all kind of have like a similar foundation for what the lyrics are about most of the time. So yeah, you can pick that up pretty easily without even having to learn it. I just haven't really touched on it a lot this past year.
So I assume you're active on fan forums or stuff like that, which
Twitter. Twitter's technically the forum, and Reddit, I guess, for like K-pop stuff. I mean, there's some websites, but some of them aren't that reliable as far as like news and information and stuff like that. So yeah, if you need any kind of forum for K-pop, just go to Twitter, because there's a fandom that's trending something every day. It's literally a mission to trend something for your group every day. You know, if it's a member's birthday, they'll trend, you know, it's Junho's birthday, or if it's, you know, the anniversary of an album, they'll trend a specific phrase. When it's award season in Korea, that's the biggest thing. There's award season where, like, for the first 3 months of the year, there's like these back-to-back awards. You know, like we have the Grammys and the Oscars and the Emmys and the MTV Awards and the Billboard. They have the same thing in Korea. And so a lot of the awards are fan voted off of Twitter. And so Twitter will be brutal. It will be a bloodbath on Twitter about trending stuff. And it's kind of crazy. People actually stress about it. Like, oh no, it's almost award season. I'm going to have to tweet a lot. But that's how it kind of works. For K-pop. And again, it's different. It's completely different than the Western, like how we do things, because, you know, our award shows are like leisurely events. In Korea, award shows are battles of like who can show their fandom the most love. And, you know, they spend money differently and they produce things differently and they are worshipped differently than in the Western world. So it's a kind of interesting aspect on how things are popular here and how things are popular there.
So I don't have a segue to go, but then I'll just jump directly. So this is similar to your passion for K-pop. Let's talk about Harry Potter, because that's how we know each other. And yeah. So
what's Harry Potter? I forgot.
Do you remember when you got introduced, or at what age I mean, which book did you first read, or which movie? Or what?
I read the first book. I remember specifically getting the first book.
What year was it? How old were you?
Well, I was, let's see. Okay, I know where I was living, so let me backtrack. I was living in Pearl, and I bought the first and the second book together. So this was probably after kind of the second book came out. And I hadn't read the first or the second book yet, because I bought the first and the second book at a yard sale from my neighbor. And I had been wanting to read the books, but I don't think my mom would let me get the books. How old was I? Gosh, I can't remember. I was in I was in 4th or 5th grade. I was probably 10 or 11. And I bought the books, for the first and second books, from my neighbor's yard sale. She was getting rid of them.
This is before the third book came out.
Before the third book came out. And so I bought them for like $3 for both of them. So and I read them. And
no, you can't. It's before 2000, right? I think you're really
I don't
young.
know what year it was.
Not 10. You couldn't have been 10.
I'm 28 now. So 18. Well, I was probably 10 or 11. I know where I was living, that was before 6th grade. So it had to have been 4th or 5th grade, which is 10 or 11. How old was I in 4th or 5th? I don't know, Nevi. I just know.
4th or 5th grade is like 9. Because
So maybe I was
I
9.
was 12 when I was introduced, and that is 2001. And
Okay.
and then the 4th book was already out.
So maybe I was 8 or 9. Maybe.
Yeah.
Math.
Yeah,
Math is
exactly.
hard. Yeah. And so I read the 1st and 2nd book, like marathoned it straight through, like didn't stop. And then, so I was just hooked from there. And I think, from then on, I like started counting down when the next book would come out. And let's see, which book was it? So when it became popular, it was like, I think later on, towards the 5th and 6th, 7th book, they started having like those overnight, at least here they did.
Yeah,
they had those release parties overnight.
Yeah.
So I started going to those to get like the book at midnight when it released, and then I would read it, and my goal would be to read it before the day was over, like in 24 hours.
Okay.
And I did it for the 5th and the 6th book. The 7th book, I tried that, and my head hurt too much to finish it like in one day. And my parents thought it was stupid. They're like, "You're going to ruin your book because you're rushing through it." And I was like, "I know, but I want to read it now." So
you always had a okay, he's completely bored. No, he heard something.
he's so bored. Yeah, he's waiting for me to go back inside. So what were you saying?
Yeah, no. So you always had something. I mean, you always had like reading was your hobby. The fact that you went and picked the Harry Potter books before it was a thing meant that.
I guess it wasn't like a thing yet, because I mean it was like the 2nd book had been released for a little while, I think. So I don't know. I can't remember quite like how popular and how mainstream it had become. I don't know if it hit that point until maybe the 4th or the 5th book, maybe.
Yeah,
I can't remember like when it was
like as far as
a
I
legit
remember,
thing.
because I was introduced to it through my sister, and then I remember is the 4th book coming out in 2001, and then a few months later the first movie came out, and so I read the 4th book first, and then I watched the first movie, and then it was a weird sequence, and then because there was a big gap right between the 4th book and the 5th book, when I think Rowling got married and she had this writer's block, and she took a break basically, and that's when the series of movies
like
came
some
out.
talks with like I think she had mentioned like some talks about depression even through. And I think you can see that in the 5th book, because there's a huge transition from the 4th and the 5th book in the storyline, where like I have to like prepare myself to watch the 5th movie, or if I read the 5th book, I need to reread the series again. But there's like it gets dark in the 5th book. Like if I know people that read the series, I've told them like, look, book 4's the last like fun you're gonna have reading this series, because 5, 6, and 7 are not fun. They're like they get in some darker
it's a
stuff,
big
and
shift
the storyline
from the 4th
is
to 5th.
there's a big shift. So
Yes.
that's probably the point in her life where things probably. I think she had like some struggles with depression or something. Maybe. I think she talked about
it was reported as her having writer's block, and she took a break from writing, and she got married and stuff. But that's how I remember it, because but there was not like, it was not like fans were missing out because the movies were coming out at the time. Like
she was still getting money.
So. Yeah. He's just walking around now. Oh, he found a toy.
He brought his leash.
Oh, okay.
No, that's his leash. Rooney. That's his leash. He says, "Walk me, please." Yeah, so you're gonna have to feature him in this video, because he's been right here the whole time.
So let's move to sports. Like we're just talking about passion. So as far as I know, you like football, the American version, and gymnastics.
American football.
That's two. Maybe there's more. But this is how much I know.
Yeah, like the ones I actively follow. Yeah. Now, if the Olympics come around, I do like watching other ones, but I don't like actively follow tennis. But if the Olympics are on, then I really like to watch tennis. Just as a sportsmanship thing, like go USA, let's watch tennis. But yeah, no, I actively watch football because that's our bread and butter here, and then gymnastics is a big thing.
So you follow gymnastics round the year? I mean, without outside of the Olympics as well?
Yeah, so a lot of the competitions here, at least in America, but I try to follow some international competitions outside of the Olympics. They're kind of hard to watch though, because you can't find like you have to find like their production company or whatever, their local channel. So you usually have to rewatch them on YouTube once they're released.
Yeah,
but I do follow like a lot of the international athletes in the same sport, because they're notorious for different things. Like Russia's known for certain skills that Americans aren't really good at, and vice versa, which comes into play in the Olympics a lot, because it's all about strategy. It's not, I mean, obviously it's skill, but there's a lot of strategy involved in gymnastics. I don't think people notice. So like,
yeah,
Americans,
it's not a conventional sport, right? I mean, gymnastics, as far as for most people, I think they just follow it in the Olympics.
Right.
Even then, it's just mild curiosity. Just who won gold or who won silver.
There's a lot of strategy. The rules have changed a lot to try and like, keep things fair and even. But there's a lot that plays into the scores and how things are calculated and how people perform. Even like the roster and which order you perform through the whole competition. Like if you start vault is like a quick thing, it's 5 seconds and it's over, and then you have to wait a long time before you perform on the next apparatus, which is bars. In bars, you don't use your legs at all, you use your arms. So if you can go in that order, your body doesn't hurt as much as if you were going from floor to vault to bars. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's how certain teams have gotten so lucky, is because honestly, not just from their skills and how they perform, but how lucky they get in their order they perform in, and how they're trained, how their bodies are shaped. Honestly, a lot of it comes to body size, because some gymnasts are really short and stocky, like Simone Biles, and she's powerful on certain things, but she's not graceful in certain things. If you look at Russians have these like long body lines. They're very delicate and like skinny and tall. So they look differently and they perform differently and they fly in the air differently than another athlete. I mean, all those little things go, hand in hand with how well you do at a competition. So I don't know. I think about it that way, rather than, they're wearing pretty leotards and they're flipping in the air. It's not just that. But
USA always does well, right, in gymnastics?
Not always. I mean, we have since we won the team in 2012 and 2016. We won the all-around, which is just one gymnast per country who competes on all the events.
Okay. And
it's like the solo one best gymnast. USA has won the all-around since 2004. 2004 was Carly Patterson. 2008 was Nastia Lukin. 2012 was Gabby Douglas. 2016 was Simone Biles. Before that, it was, or it used to be China and Russia, who were notoriously good at gymnastics, and they still are, but again, in different aspects. And it's come with changes to the rules, and so teams kind of learn how to adjust and to adapt to that to benefit their team. Usually the top 8 has always been the same. Usually the top 8 teams, I should say, that compete.
Isn't gymnastics the kind of sport where you have to start really young to get that kind of perfection, and to reach that level where you can compete at the Olympic level and actually win? And
yeah, it starts really young. I think people start at like 3 or 4 years old, build the skill set, and it's a lot of muscle memory.
That's also another thing that I always wondered, and I have to ask you, because by not just gymnastics, I'm just going to extrapolate it to all sports. USA and China, the two countries always take the bulk of medals in the Olympics. If you look at the medal table in every Olympics,
and quantity or just golds in general, it's exactly. Usually
so how is it, and these athletes are usually in their teens or early 20s, right? and they've already put in years of they're already professionals at that point. So that means all of these people, these kids were spotted early, really young, and so what do you think is it that makes USA and China the leaders in?
Money.
Is it
Probably
money,
money.
or
I
do you
mean,
think it's the infrastructure? It's the,
we put
the
a lot
schools,
of
or
we put a lot of money. We put a lot of focus on like not we. I mean, I don't want to speak for my country, but there's a big focus on, in school, everyone kind of has a sport or has some kind of physical ability. I would say China probably spends more money in their athletics or like focus certain people, and it could tie back into what I said about dogs. Like some people are just naturally good at a certain thing. They have a high cardio level, so they may be more inclined to run or to play soccer. But it also
but there also needs to be a system which identifies these certain particular skills in these kids at that young age, right? So do you think it's the parents, or is it is it the schools?
Yeah, we have a lot of, it could come from the schools, but we also have like a lot of pro leagues where these kids grow up idolizing, Michael Phelps or whoever's their person in that field, and they idolize these people and they want to be like them.
Right.
And then we also have the avenues to get them there. You have to spend a lot of money to do it, but it's also the people willing to take those risks, I think, to put the money into it and to push their kid, probably not in the best ways all the time, because if you try to get to that level, it's not always like a happy, clean thing where, you work hard and you always get what you want and you get to the Olympics, but it comes from, I think, equal parts of money and want and drive, and then having the resources, like training facilities or
the nutrition
or
also matters.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we are near to an hour. I think I've got my material. Oh, I'm just kidding. Okay. So is there something, one thing that about you that you think we don't know in all these years?
I've never broken a bone. I don't know how interesting that is. I've never broken anything.
Oh, okay. That's quite interesting.
I have gotten hurt several times, but I haven't broken anything yet.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm scared of the ocean. Like terrified of the ocean.
But you do know how to swim.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm not scared of swimming. I just don't like the ocean.
Okay.
Like I will not
swim,
go,
but not in the ocean. Sorry, maybe in just.
I will not go above my knees in the ocean anymore. Never. I'm terrified.
Anymore? That means you've been in the ocean before.
Yes, and I was stung by a jellyfish, and it hurt.
Okay, so that's the factor. Okay.
And I have PTSD, and I also think that sharks are always going to eat me as soon as I get into the ocean. It's this irrational fear of like something always coming to get me.
Where you are?
There are sharks in the ocean, Novi.
No, I mean, are there sharks in the beaches wherever you live? I mean, in the state.
Yes, in the Gulf of Mexico, my state, the beaches, the Gulf of Mexico, and there are sharks. Yes, there are.
Okay.
We have sharks, and we also have alligators. In the lakes. In the lakes.
Oh, okay.
And so I won't swim in water that I can't see through. So if I'm in the Bahamas and I can see through the ocean, then I'll swim in the ocean. But if I can't see through it, I'm not getting in it. Nope. Can't do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Perfect sense. Okay, so before we wrap this up, how many countries have you visited? Do you have a list? Or?
Just 2. No,
really?
Just 2. Yeah, I haven't traveled anywhere. I had to save up for like 2 years to get to France. So I'm trying to go to Canada to visit some friends, but this whole virus thing, so I can't travel yet. But Canada will probably be next because it's easiest and it's cheapest to get there, and I don't have to pay to stay. But yeah, I've only visited France.
So do you have a wish list of a sort of thing where you're gonna be like, I want to be? So you like traveling?
Yeah, I do. I love traveling. I love flying. So.
Oh yeah, of course. You live in this big country where you have sometimes the only way to get from one corner to another is by flying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to.
Do you have a list of states at least? Did you have been? How many states have you been in your?
Oh country? Gosh, yeah, I've been to I
Just
mean,
a
I haven't been
the
to
ballpark. I mean, rough number.
I haven't been to probably as many as other people have, but I've probably been about 20 states now.
But
I
that's
haven't been
still a
to
big,
California
huge.
or New York.
You've covered a big area, right? 20 states is.
Yeah.
I think.
But then again, some of those have only been like airports, so that doesn't really count, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, no, I've been to every city that I've been through at airport. Yeah. I haven't been to New York or California, but I've been to like the majority of the South and Chicago, Illinois. That's Seattle, Washington, and Chicago, Illinois are the farthest north I've been. But I haven't been to pretty much the West, other than Washington State. I haven't been to the west part of the country yet. So
yeah, but that's fine. This is still a lot of, because each state I think is as big as a country in Europe. So yeah, see, so that's okay. All right, so
Rooney's still here.
Oh, what happened to the leash? Did he wear it?
It's beside him.
Oh, it's so it's just. He looks so sad.
Rooney. He's scratching. Rooney.
All right, now yeah, you can go be with him now. So this was fun. My camera fell down.
It was.
Okay.
I'll talk to you later.
Thank you for this, and see you. Bye.
Bye.
That is one big pile of shit.
Just wait a moment. FBI, open up!
पहले वीडियो लाइक करें, फिर सब्सक्राइब करें. टिंग 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 टिंग.
Rooney, I'm trying to film my introduction here. That's my blanket. Seriously.